Okay, welcome everybody. It's Tuesday, June 11th, 2024. We are in 119 at Town Hall, 5 p.m. This is the Darien Advisory Board of Health meeting. We have all members present, in addition to David and Mindy. It is David's last meeting. I don't know how many. It's not like the police commission where they say this is the 7,427, but it's been quite a few.
It's been quite a few.
I want to personally express deep gratitude to David for his commitment, professionalism, and friendship over the last
15 plus years.
I can't even believe that.
We were kids.
We were basically infants when this started. And he has the work he has done when we started the ABH 20 years ago, and choosing him and bringing to the department to where he is today has truly been phenomenal. I'm so grateful for the work he's done for the department and for the town. So thank you very much, Dave.
Thank you for the kind words, Kevin. And I also want to express my appreciation for the support of the board over the years. There's been various numbers of people who've served on the board. Kevin has been here from the beginning of time. And yes, we have established quite a relationship, friendship as well as the professional relationship that we have through the board. And I feel we're very privileged to have spent these past 15 plus years here in Darien. It's been a wonderful experience. And to rephrase something that I heard a few years ago by a departing superintendent of schools, Dan Bremer, he said, and I wrote this down because I thought it was so profound: if you do what you do long enough, you see a lot. And we have seen a lot. There's been a lot of water under the bridge, and there's a lot of water to come. So again, thank you all, and thank you to the residents of the town. It's been a pleasure working for you and with you all these years, and staff as well. I've been blessed with a great staff. We've done a lot with not a lot of people, but it's been good. So,
hold on, just really quickly, the first official order of business is review and approval of the March meeting minutes, which I had sent out previously. Any additions, changes, approved? Okay, unanimous approval, thank you. The second order of business is a report from the director.
all right. So, we are still in the midst of an interview process to replace me. I submitted my notice intent of resignation in December, hoping that this would be resolved by now. So it's through no fault of mine that this hasn't been settled as yet. I had hoped that we would have a smooth transition, and one where we could have some overlap to work together to make sure that any future staffing needs could be met prior to the new health director taking over. Mindy's fully qualified for the position and is an applicant in the position. Final interviews are next week?
Monday.
So good luck. And we will move forward on that. The town will move forward on that. I thought it was, does everybody know Mindy? Mindy Chambrelli. Mindy's been here for 10 years. So, that's another thing that I feel very fortunate for, is we really haven't had staff turnover in the period of time that I've been here. It's, again, one of the reasons why we're able to do as much as we have in the period of time that we do it in. We have very highly qualified people who are efficient at what they do. And, hopefully that will continue going in the future. As I said, we'll hopefully find out early next week for sure what direction we'll be going in as a town, and the health director matter. The only other thing I wanted to mention on with respect to staffing is Nick Jossam, who is our preparedness guy, has been working on the Pod in the Box. Of course, we have a trailer, and it's proving to be quite an endeavor. I think it's a bigger project than maybe he anticipated, and I'm thinking that there's going to have to be, he's going to need some help, I think, putting this thing together. I'm not sure where that help will come from, but he's getting supplies in and the shelves aren't in, and we're having troubles coordinating and organizing material. So any ideas or suggestions, Kevin, in particular, would be appreciated.
David, we still have some funds available from some other project that we're paying him to do this for, is that correct?
Yes, and I'm not sure about his time allotment to this project. And so we're going to have to become more definitive with him and hold him to a schedule, I think, in order to get this thing done, which we haven't done. We haven't said, you need to be here on Tuesday, work for 6 hours or something. But I think that's the way it's going to have to be done. I think he's going to need to be assigned to do the project because it's not happening otherwise. It just hasn't progressed like I thought.
Does he need an assistant? Is there funds available to get a high school kid summer?
Could be. It's all coming out of, we do have funding that we're using to pay for his position. That's out of it's out of one of our grant programs. So I'm pretty sure that because it's being used for clinics, mobile clinic, that we could utilize funds for that. We also looked into pricing, getting heating and cooling in this trailer so that it could be used as an office remotely, and it's prohibitive. It's going to be $15,000 to $20,000 additional to provide some climate control to that unit. So that I don't see that happening because the funds are pretty well allocated.
Battery operated fan?
Yeah, that's going to be that is what we're going to do. Ultimately, you get the little propane thing in there.
We had, in the original budget, we had box fans, we had a number of portable fans, we have a couple generators in there, and we had some portable cube heaters, those block heaters, right? There was a suggestion to make that more permanent and put like a Coleman pack on top of the thing to make it more, but like, the reality is we're not going to be living in there, right? I think for the time that we'll be using and in and out of that trailer, there's nothing that needs to be stored in that trailer that's that needs to be temperature. It's not like we're storing medications or stuff. It's all shelf stable stuff in there. So I think we'll probably forego the more permanent cooling.
Is there stuff in there that will have like a shelf life that have to be?
No. It's all hard supplies, tables, chairs, stuff. So anything that, potentially is, there's some technology in there, radios, computers, but that's not going to be stored in the trailer, right? That's going to be stored in either the health department personnel are going to use that on a day-to-day basis. With the notation that if we need to open a clinic, right, this is the equipment that we use for the clinic. The same thing with radios. We're not going to store it in there. They're going to be used by the fire marshal or somebody OEM. But in a public health emergency, those are now dedicated to that resource, which is what any other public health agency would do in a public health emergency when they're buying those preparedness items. They don't, why would you have a computer sit in a trailer, right? That just doesn't make any sense because when you pull it out, it's going to be dead. It's going to be old. It hasn't been used, and it's the first 12 hours of it. It's going to be used to update, right? So it's going to be useless for you. So we want them to actually. There's benefit for them to be used for people to be familiar with them, those type of things.
Thank you. So I do think in order to get this going, I'll talk to Nick about the need for getting some kind of help advocate doing it. I know he would prefer to have the trailer in his driveway, to work on it over the weekend in his driveway and then bring it back like on Monday morning. That's his preference that he voiced to me just the other day. We were there, and he said, geez, you know, I could get this done in a heartbeat. But I don't see what difference it makes where it is. He can, you know, if he commits to the time to get it done, he's going to get paid for it regardless of where it's parked. So anyway, I'm not an advocate for moving it into another community on somebody else's property like that. Any other questions on the pot in the box? All right, health needs assessment. That was kind of that was a definitive goal of mine, was to have this done by the time I retired. We actually I signed a proposal for this on June 23rd of last year. It's a year that this thing has been ongoing, was due to be delivered in January, so that we could present it in the library in March. For a number of reasons, this thing got delayed and delayed and delayed again, and then we received, the materials that we received were really unacceptable, to the extent where what they call a final draft was submitted to us at the end of May, and I frankly can't sign it, and I cannot present that to the community, not in the condition that it's in. We went through it, and there's on 73 pages, there's barely a page that either didn't have some grammatical issues with sentences, sentence structure, or factual inaccuracies, or just completely wrong information on pages. And to edit it, I don't think it's editable. It either needs a complete rewrite, but it's a major disappointment to me in the condition that it was submitted. I have addressed this with Kate, and Kate's going to discuss this with our town council to see about the getting out of the contract, which I'm not even sure we really do have a contract, because the deliverable was supposed to be provided in January, and there's been no extension that was applied for. So this thing has just been a debacle, and we've spent a lot of time on it. And again, I'll reiterate how disappointed I am with the way this has been managed by the company that we hired. And they had some very good, solid reasons for some of the difficulties they had, but still, the accuracy of the report is what we were looking for, and it just is disappointing in that regard. A lot of things are missing. Immunization data is missing. Comparisons from, the last assessment, which was done in 2017, to this one. What trends do we see going on in the community? That's not in the report, and that's critical. We want to know what's happened, what's better, what's worse. Back in 2017, we identified our biggest concern at the time was opiates and opiate overdoses, and frankly, that hasn't materialized as an issue in town. But certainly, mental health issues has, and that's been a cause for concern. But this kind of observing of trends and tracking trends and making recommendations based on the data, it's just not there in this report. So again, we're not moving forward with providing the report. So I had, as I said, Kate and I are going to be working with town council to.
Would the goal be to start again, or do you know what final version we have to somebody?
I don't even, well, they could certainly, somebody else could look at it and try to work with some of it. I think particularly the community survey that they did was valuable. And certainly I would say, we can adjust our fee to them and payment to them and accept some parts of what they did that are, I think, useful and informative, but not the whole thing. So that's going to be another part, is negotiating a settlement. But I do not feel that it's going to be worth our time and effort to have them fix what they've provided us with. So yeah, I'd say that somebody else should pick up the pieces and run with it. A lot of the data is there, it's just, we provided them with a lot of the data that they simply didn't incorporate, which is another big disappointment. But
Well, David, isn't that kind of report needed if the town wants state money, federal money for certain things? Don't they ask, oh, have you done a needs assessment for this?
not really. We don't get really state money, we don't get a per capita grant. So it's just something that it's recommended that communities do on a regular basis every few years. And of course, the last one we did was in 2017. One before that was in 2007. So, it's due, and it should be done. And again, we have a grant to support it. And that grant is still open and is available to us until 2025, June of 2025. So we have time to kind of pick up the pieces and make it work. That's the good news. And we really didn't utilize a lot of the funding that was allocated for that. So it's time to move on. We tried working with them. We were patient. They had, there were health issues in the families, so so we tried to be understanding and work with them, but it didn't work out for us. Sorry, folks. Any thoughts or comments on that? Health needs assessment. The bottom line is that the health of the community is really quite good. We don't have a lot of the issues that a lot of other communities have that are problematic. And I don't think I'm telling you anything you don't already know. We have great access to health care. Most people have insurance. We don't have a lot of the problems that a lot of communities have with the health of residents. So, I also, moving on, public health emergency response and preparedness and response plan has been updated. It's the first time that that's been done, and that was completed. We have I submitted it to you for your review the other day. I appreciate those who got back to me on it. So that is a requirement that we submit that to the state every 2 years. It's a 2-year submittal. And we updated it considerably from the last one. There's a lot of new stuff that's been added. We learned a lot during COVID, and so we added some things in there that we didn't have before that I think make it much more complete. Got sign off from Mark McEwen on it as well, so we're ready to submit it to the state. That is a deliverable for getting public health emergency preparedness funds. So that is something that we do have to submit to the state. Some other business and future things, thoughts for the future. I'm really pleased to say that we're partnering with the community fund in a program that's actually, they launched a campaign to fund Teen Talk mental health counselor at Middlesex Middle School. And we're contributing funds to the hiring of the counselor from the opiate settlement funds that the town has received. That money is eligible for that because it's going to provide counseling to the middle school kids. They have a Teen Talk program at the high school and it's been very successful. The hope is that the Board of Ed will take over and fund it for next year, but there was no money in the account because their budget was already set for the year. So we're trying to pick up the slack with the community fund and their campaign to raise funds, which I believe I was told they've already met the the funding goal, like within 10 days of announcing this, they reached the goal. So it was roughly $100,000, and you know, they will have the counselor in the middle school in the fall. So that's some good news. I'm very pleased that we were able to participate in that. As you all know, there's a lot of new development in town. It keeps going, it keeps coming, and it's not going to stop for any time too soon. We are currently involved with monitoring construction progress in 10 different facilities. I don't think we've gotten any new plans in recently, but there's going to be a few coming in for the Heights area and of course downtown, but we haven't seen plans for them yet. So 10, we're watching 10 right now, 10 new places. We haven't received any updates on the Great Island project with respect to arsenic remediation. For whatever reason, we just haven't gotten it. We will be staffing an informational booth at the farmers market. That's always a good public relations outreach program that Mindy's very proud of doing. That's her, branding and, letting people know what we do on a regular basis. And, we interact with folks at the market. It's a great way for us to say hello. We have free tick kits, the tick removal, identification and removal kits that we'll be giving out, free blood pressure testing that we'll be doing there, and a whole bunch of information on a whole bunch of stuff that we do will be available to people who are shopping at the market. There has been a renewal of odor complaints in the Tilly Pond area, similar to what happened last year. Last year it didn't start until August. It's early June, and we're already getting these issues, complaints that it's really related to the algae that's in the pond. It's worse when the aerators are going because it off gases the odors from the algae. So they've shut down the pumps, spray, which is going to aggravate the growth of algae. So there's going to be an issue this summer with water in Tilly Pond. And so Parks Department is highly aware of it. They're going to have to take some action. But it's all about the algae. And what's happening is people are thinking that it's gas or propane, like natural gas or propane, and they're worried about potential explosions. So they're calling fire department. Fire department is again getting calls as they did last summer. So I'd like to take this opportunity to tell folks that we are aware of what's happening at the park, and it isn't gas, natural gas. It's not explosive, but you should keep your dogs and pets out of the pond. Don't let them drink the water. And we'll just say that we're working on trying to address the problem on a permanent basis. I believe that the Parks Department has already reached out to various consultants to help them with solutions. Another thing to look for in the future that we're going to have to think about is our software program. We've been using Digital Health for virtually the entire time that I've been here. It enables us to basically carry our entire filing system with us when we're in the field on our laptops. We do our food inspections, enter the food inspections, and it goes right to the website where you can see the results of our inspections. We have all our septic information on there, our pool information, cosmetology information, and the inspection results, all on digital. Well, digital has sold, the company has changed hands a couple times. It's now Tyler Tech, and Tyler Tech is phasing the digital component in the digital system out because it's an old platform. The new platform that they want to sell us is pricey. So we're going to have to somebody's gonna have to, in the future, we have 2 years to utilize digital and transition over to a new system. We certainly don't want to go back to paper. So we have reached out to, is it Viewpoint or OpenGov?
Are they the same? Yeah.
I use them interchangeably, and okay, as long as they're the same. Because they do the software program for the rest of the town agencies, and they didn't have a build-out for a lot of the things that we have on digital. So we never transitioned over to them when the town went into Viewpoint a few years ago. They would have to build everything from scratch. I'm worried that's still the case. So I'm thinking that it's still going to be expensive no matter what we do. And there aren't a lot of software providers that have comprehensive programs such as the one that we've had. So that's going to be something that's going to have to be dealt with in the very near future going forward. And finally, the newest bridge in the area, probably just across the country, I think, is food trucks and food vending trucks. We've always had temporary events in town, weekend events, and up until the pandemic, we had a staff person who was available to us pretty much on the weekends, and he would go and do inspections for these places on the weekend when these events were being held, or at night. He was very flexible to doing that. Then it was COVID, and nothing happened for 2 years, maybe 2.5 years. We didn't really have these types of events happening. Well, this year, it's like the floodgates are open. There are things going on every weekend, and there's trucks coming in, and we're trying to inspect them if we don't know who they are and have never inspected them before. And so they'll come in when we're working, which is not when they're serving. And we're trying to gauge the safety of what their operation is when they're not actually serving food. And we're doing that by kind of looking at the condition of the vehicles that they're preparing food in. And frankly, we're finding some of these vehicles are in tough shape. So, and we have not allowed some vehicles and businesses, vendors, who wanted to serve at town events. We won't give them permits unless their trucks meet our standards. But we can't always inspect every truck, and we can't always inspect every event. And we don't really have a person at this time that is available to come in on the weekends. So we're going to have to figure this one out too. That's another project that we have to see about. And it was one that I don't think we anticipated the degree to which the food truck business and vendors was going to proliferate. I know I mentioned to the board in the past that I had been on a committee, statewide committee, to establish a reciprocity permitting program for trucks, where health departments would exchange inspection reports and information on the trucks that they are licensing within their jurisdiction. That hasn't worked very well, and people aren't really entering inspection data. We asked the trucks to provide us with their inspections, but I don't know if they're giving us their most recent inspection, and certainly they're not going to give us an inspection if it wasn't a good one. So
Here, look at this.
yeah, well, I got one today. It's from January. The last inspection, and it had no violations. So I don't know. What does that tell me? So we're kind of in a quandary as to how we're going to best manage this. And we were also asked to come up with some sort of guidance document for people who want to hire trucks to come in and work private events. They can have a party, a neighborhood block party or something, private event. It's not something that needs a permit from the health department. But what kind of suggestions can we give people who are looking to hire the vendor to work at a private party? Well, I think one of the things that people should do, short of having a guidance document, is to take a look at the truck if you can. You know, see what it looks like. If it's messy, it's messy. You know, they may have good food handling practices if they have a dirty and messy truck. I mean, you know, that's just one of the guidelines to go in and eat anywhere, actually, you know, if you go into a restaurant too. But if the truck doesn't look like it's being maintained, it's probably not being maintained. Ask them where they cook the food. You know, we found that one place identified a location, and when we contacted that location, they said, nobody cooks here. They just come here to clean. You know, so it's gonna be tricky and it's gonna be a challenge going forward, but I think people need to know do your due diligence when you're hiring somebody or looking for somebody to operate at an event that you're holding. And we're gonna do the best we can to ensure that the vendors that come into this community are going to be serving safe food. But I do think we're going to have to take a look at a staffing specialist that is willing to come in on off hours, because it's not easy to find people who want to do this, you know, on weekend or on holidays. You know, Memorial Day, we had an event and we were able to have a staff person there on Memorial Day for that event, but that's not going to happen all the time. So just leaving that with you for, you know, food for thought, so to speak. Mindy, do you have anything to offer on that or any other topics?
No, not right now. I'm good.
So that is what I have to say for this evening with respect to my quarterly report to the Advisory Board of Health, my final one. Again, I want to thank you all. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, David, again. Just editing this. I want to look really quickly at the schedule to see when the next 2, 1, 2, 3, I believe.
September?
Yep. It should be, if we're going on the same calendar. Hold on, choose the second Tuesday. Was it the first Tuesday? Where? Right, second Tuesday every quarter, so would you like us?
Is that September 10th?
Yes, September 10th, 5 p.m. is the next meeting.
Before we adjourn, I do want to say that we recently had an event at the library. Everything you want to know or don't want to know about ticks. And it was videotaped, and if we don't have it on our website yet, it will be, and it's also on the library website. So if anybody wants to have, the speaker is this phenomenal resource from the Connecticut Agricultural Station. He's like the national expert on ticks and any kind of emerging diseases associated with insect vectors. He's amazing, and it was a great presentation. So it's well worth viewing. I mean, you know, it's something that we have to deal with. It's, you know, I don't know, but when I was a kid, I don't remember ticks being as prevalent as they are today. You know, you pretty much get them every time you go out, I find them. But things are changing. Our environment is changing. Our world is changing. That's another question for the future, is change, climate issues, and extreme climate and flooding. And new vectors that we have to worry about. It's not all bad, though.
Okay, anything else from the group? Well, again, David, thank you so much for your distinguished service. I will submit these notes to you in a couple of minutes. We'll see you again on September 10th, did we say, 5 p.m.? Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sabina.